Ever stumble across the term webmaster and wonder what it actually means in the digital age?
Yeah, it does seem like a bit of a throwback term, doesn't it?
It does, but it's still a relevant role, right? So today, we're doing a deep dive into the world of webmasters, and we've got some great insights from RoleCatcher to guide us.
Absolutely. It's a role that's constantly evolving.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly does a webmaster do?
Well, it's easy to think they just make websites look pretty, but it's so much more than that.
It's more than just the design aspect,
Right? It's about the whole ecosystem of a website.
right?
Think server management, security, content strategy, keeping everything running smoothly.
So it's a very technical role then.
It is technical, but there's also a creative side to it. Imagine being the architect, engineer, and content curator of a website all rolled into one.
Wow, that's a lot of hats to wear. So where do we even find these multi-talented webmasters? What's their typical work environment like?
Well, you might find them in a traditional office setting, or maybe a data center surrounded by servers.
Okay, so it can be very hands-on.
It can be. But with the rise of remote work, many webmasters are now working from anywhere with a good internet connection.
That makes sense given the nature of the work, but I imagine it's still a very collaborative role.
Oh, absolutely. Webmasters are constantly interacting with developers, designers, content creators, basically anyone involved in building and maintaining a website.
So strong communication skills are essential.
Absolutely. They're the hub, making sure everyone is on the same page and that the website aligns with the overall goals.
And we're talking about a fast-paced environment, I'm guessing, lots of deadlines and maybe some long hours.
Yeah, it can definitely be fast-paced. The internet never sleeps, right?
That's true. Websites need constant upkeep and attention.
Exactly. And things change quickly in the digital world. A webmaster needs to be adaptable, a good problem solver, and always ready to learn new things.
It sounds like a role that requires a unique blend of technical expertise, creativity, and people skills.
You hit the nail on the head. That's what makes it such an interesting and challenging career path.
So, for those who thrive on variety and a good challenge, becoming a webmaster might be the perfect fit.
It could be, but like any career, there are pros and cons to consider.
And we'll dive into those right after a quick break. Stay with us. All right, so we're back to our deep dive into the world of webmasters. Before the break, we were talking about the challenges of the job. It sounds like it can be pretty demanding. Are there any downsides to being a webmaster?
Well, like you said, it can be demanding. The internet is always on, so there's a certain level of pressure to be available to respond to issues quickly.
That 24/7 aspect could definitely lead to burnout if you're not careful.
Right, setting boundaries is important.
Yeah.
And because technology is constantly evolving, webmasters are always learning, always having to adapt.
So you always have to be on top of the latest trends. What are some of the big ones right now from a webmaster's perspective?
One that immediately comes to mind is the rise of mobile browsing.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I do almost everything on my phone these days.
Exactly. And that means websites need to be designed with mobile in mind, not just as an afterthought.
So webmasters need to be well versed in things like responsive design.
Absolutely. Making sure a website looks good and functions well on different screen sizes is crucial. And then there's mobile-first development.
Now, that one sounds interesting. What is mobile first development exactly?
It's a design philosophy where you start by optimizing the website for mobile users first, then you scale up for larger screens.
So you're prioritizing the mobile experience from the get-go.
Exactly. Because for many users, that's their primary way of accessing the web.
It seems like this mobile trend has really changed the game for webmasters.
It really has. And RoleCatcher's research shows that job postings specifically requesting mobile optimization skills have surged recently. It's definitely a sought-after skill.
So aspiring webmasters take note. Now, besides mobile, what other industry trends are shaping the webmaster landscape?
Well, data security is huge. With all the high-profile data breaches we see in the news, website security is more important than ever.
Makes sense. No one wants to be responsible for their company's website getting hacked.
Exactly. Webmasters are on the front lines of defending against cyber attacks.
So what does that involve? What are some of the things webmasters do to keep websites secure?
Well, for starters, they implement strong security measures like firewalls and encryption protocols. They also conduct regular security audits to identify and fix vulnerabilities.
So they're always on the lookout for potential weak points.
Right. And they need to stay informed about the latest security threats and best practices.
It sounds like cybersecurity is an ongoing concern. Are there any other trends we should be aware of?
One that's becoming increasingly important is web accessibility.
Oh, right. Making sure websites are usable for everyone, including people with disabilities.
Exactly. That means following accessibility guidelines, using things like alt text for images, keyboard navigation, and designing for people with different needs.
So it's about creating a more inclusive online experience.
Precisely. And it's not just the right thing to do, it can also have legal implications. There are regulations in place that require websites to be accessible to certain standards.
That makes sense. So webmasters need to be mindful of both the ethical and legal aspects of accessibility.
Absolutely. And it ties into something we talked about earlier, the importance of continuous learning.
Because these trends are constantly evolving.
Exactly. A webmaster who's not willing to keep learning and adapting will quickly get left behind.
So we've talked about the demands, the trends, the constant need to stay updated. With all that in mind, what are the rewards of being a webmaster? What are the things that would make someone passionate about this career path? We'll explore that right after this short break. So we talked about the demands, the ever-changing trends, the need for continuous learning. But what about the rewards? What makes someone passionate about being a webmaster?
Well, for many, it's the satisfaction of building something from the ground up. Taking a blank canvas and turning it into a functional, engaging website that serves a purpose.
It's that sense of creation, of bringing an idea to life in the digital world.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technical build either. It's about understanding the target audience, crafting the right content, optimizing the user experience.
So it's a blend of technical skills and creativity.
Absolutely. And when you see people engaging with the website you've built, using it successfully, it's incredibly rewarding.
It's like seeing your creation out there in the world making a difference.
Precisely. Now, beyond the creative satisfaction, there's also the problem-solving aspect.
Right, because
Yeah.
things can and do go wrong with websites.
All the time. And a big part of a webmaster's job is troubleshooting those issues, figuring out solutions, keeping everything running smoothly.
So you need those analytical skills, that ability to diagnose problems and find fixes.
Exactly. And when you do solve a tricky issue, that sense of accomplishment can be pretty addictive.
I bet. It's like solving a puzzle, a digital puzzle.
That's a great way to put it. Now, let's not forget the career prospects.
Right, because the demand for webmasters is still high, isn't it?
It is. As long as there are websites, there will be a need for people to manage them. And as technology evolves, new opportunities emerge.
So what does the career path look like for a webmaster? Where do you start and where can you go from there?
Well, many start with entry-level positions, maybe as a junior webmaster or web assistant.
Gaining experience, learning the ropes.
Exactly. From there, they might specialize in a particular area, like front-end development, back-end development, or maybe even move into a more specialized role, like SEO specialist or UX designer.
So there are different branches, different paths you can take.
Absolutely. And with experience and a strong track record, you can move into senior-level positions, leading teams, managing larger projects, maybe even becoming a web development manager.
So there's definitely room for growth, for advancement.
Absolutely. And with the rise of remote work, webmasters have more flexibility than ever before. You can work from anywhere, potentially set your own hours.
That's a huge perk for many people. Now, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. The importance of continuous learning.
Right, because the digital landscape is always changing.
So how can aspiring webmasters stay ahead of the curve? How can they ensure their skills are up to date?
Well, luckily, there are tons of resources available. Online courses, tutorials, industry blogs, webinars, you name it. It's out there.
It's about taking ownership of your professional development.
Exactly. And it's not just about acquiring new technical skills. It's about staying curious, experimenting, embracing new challenges.
And connecting with other webmasters, sharing knowledge, learning from each other.
Absolutely. Joining online communities and attending industry events can be invaluable for networking, staying informed, and finding inspiration.
So it's a dynamic field, constantly evolving, full of challenges and rewards.
It truly is. And for those with the right skills and mindset, it can be a truly rewarding career path.
Well, I think we've done a pretty deep dive on the world of webmasters today. Hopefully our listeners now have a much clearer understanding of what this multifaceted role entails, the skills required, the challenges, and the rewards.
I hope so too. It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you.
And for our listeners, if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, don't stop here. Keep exploring, keep learning, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next webmaster extraordinaire. Until next time.